Hello again, I'm Kevin Berger, and this is Justified Nonetheless, where I apply the principles of polemics and skepticism to atheism and the claims made by atheists. In this video, my discussion with ChatGPT involves the appeal to personal anecdote that arises from atheists saying things like, I am the evidence that non-belief is real, or I am the evidence that it's possible to believe neither claim, and the special pleading fallacy that ultimately accompanies it. I start off by asking, is it true that with regard to atheism, specifically to anti-theism, positive atheism, and negative atheism, literally anyone can express any of these positions, and that theists can express any of them as well? And I'll point out, with regard to the term anti-theism, that there is disagreement even amongst atheists as to what exactly that term implies. The usage that the ChatGPT AI uses is not the same as what others use. Some people will use the term Gnostic atheism, which is what I use, but that's fine. The reply that I get here is, yes, it is true that anyone, regardless of the religious beliefs or lack thereof, can express any of these positions: anti-theism, positive atheism, and negative atheism. Anti-theism, the usage that's provided here, is the position that actively opposes or is against theism and organized religion. An anti-theist believes that religion is harmful or detrimental to society and may actively work to counteract its influence. This position can be held both by atheists, those who lack belief in gods, and some theists, those who believe in gods but do not support organized religion or certain religious practices. I'm going to go ahead and insert here Gnostic atheism, which is the claimed knowledge that no deity exists. 2. Positive atheism. Positive atheism asserts a positive belief that gods do not exist. It is an active stance that makes a positive claim about the non-existence of gods. This position is typically associated with strong or explicit atheism. I'm going to interject here also that positive atheism, as I use it, or I prefer the term propositional atheism, is someone who believes that no deity exists but refrains from making that claim and concedes, I may be mistaken. 3. Negative atheism. Negative atheism, on the other hand, is a passive stance that simply lacks belief in gods. It does not make any positive claims about the non-existence of gods. Negative atheism is often associated with weak or implicit atheism. It's important to note that these positions are not mutually exclusive, and individuals may hold a combination of these beliefs or change their stance over time. Additionally, people's beliefs can be influenced by a wide range of factors, including personal experiences, cultural background, philosophical perspectives, and more. Furthermore, it's worth mentioning that individuals, whether theists or atheists, may have varying degrees of commitment to these beliefs. Some may hold their beliefs strongly, engage in discussions or activism, while others may have more casual or less invested positions. So yes, the positions of anti-theism, positive theism, negative atheism are open to expression by anyone, including theists. I then ask, is it true that because belief is largely involuntary, is formed by our experiences, and can be held subconsciously without either conscious awareness or endorsement? And the reply here is, belief formation is a complex process influenced by a wide range of factors, including life experiences, cultural backgrounds, education, upbringing, and more. It's true that some beliefs may be formed subconsciously without conscious awareness or explicit endorsement. These subconscious beliefs may be ingrained deeply and may influence our thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors in subtle ways. And he kind of rambles on and on and on here. So I'm going to cut forward here and say, please be concise. Can a person hold a belief subconsciously without conscious awareness? And the reply is, yes, a person can hold a belief subconsciously without conscious awareness. So then I ask, is it true that self-reporting is notoriously unreliable for a variety of reasons? And the reply to that is yes, it is true that self-reporting can be notoriously unreliable for a variety of reasons. People may have imperfect recall, be influenced by social desirability bias, have difficulty articulating complex feelings or experience, or be affected by other factors that can lead to inaccuracies in their self-reports. I then ask, is arguing I am the evidence that it's possible to believe neither P nor negative P and appeal to personal anecdote. And the reply is, no, arguing I am evidence that it's possible to believe neither P nor the negation of P is not necessarily an appeal to personal anecdote. It is presenting oneself as an example to illustrate a philosophical position, demonstrating the possibility of holding belief and its negation simultaneously. This is a logical argument rather than reliance on personal experience or anecdote. However, it's important that we note the strength of the argument would depend on the context and the supporting reasoning provided. I ask, does making that statement constitute actual evidence? And the answer says no. Making the statement, I am evidence it is possible to believe neither P nor negative P, is not considered empirical evidence in the traditional sense. It is a philosophical assertion that may be used to illustrate a logical possibility, but it does not provide empirical or scientific proof. In formal logic, it may serve as an example of a hypothetical thought experiment, but it does not constitute empirical evidence based on observable, measurable data. So I say, and the statement may be untrue based on the fact that 1, anyone can express any position, whether it's true or not, and 2, self-reporting is notoriously unreliable. And the answer to that is, yes, you are correct. The statement, I am evidence that it's possible to believe neither P nor the negation of P, may not necessarily be true, and there are valid reasons to question its accuracy. As mentioned earlier, anyone can express any position, whether it is true or not, and self-reporting may be unreliable. Therefore, while the statement may be presented as an example, it should not be taken as conclusive proof without additional supporting evidence or logical reasoning. So I ask, so to argue essentially, take my word for it, is an example of personal anecdote, is it not? And the answer is yes, arguing take my word for it is indeed an appeal to personal anecdote. It relies on the speaker's own testimony or personal experience as a basis for accepting a claim without providing external evidence or logical reasoning to support it. This can be a less persuasive form of argumentation, especially in contexts where empirical evidence or logical analysis is expected. And I say, is it true that for an atheist to expect one to accept this line of argumentation for the existence of a distinction between not believing P and believing the negation of P, while simultaneously rejecting personal anecdotes to support the existence of a deity, constitutes a special pleading? And the answer to that is yes. It can be argued that for an atheist to expect acceptance of a distinction between not believing P and believing the negation of P, while rejecting personal anecdotes to support the existence of a deity, could be seen as a form of special pleading. Special pleading occurs when one applies different standards or rules to different situations or individuals without a justifiable reason for that difference. In this case, it could be viewed as inconsistent to demand empirical evidence or logical arguments for the existence of a deity, or relying on personal anecdotes or subjective experience to establish philosophical distinction. It's important to note that this argument is based on the premise that both claims should be held to a consistent standard of evidence. Different individuals may have varying perspectives on this matter. There you have it. Claiming to be representative of the evidence to substantiate the claimed distinction between non-belief in P and belief in the negation of P doesn't actually get us to an absence of belief for multiple reasons. Firstly, it's not independently verifiable. Secondly, self-reporting is notoriously unreliable. Thirdly, it's an appeal to personal anecdote in which one essentially is arguing, trust me, bro. And finally, because atheists refuse to accept this as evidence of a deity, to expect someone else to accept it is a special pleading. As an aside that was not mentioned in the chat, because belief can be held subconsciously without conscious awareness, this adds in another element of difficulty with regard to self-reporting, because one could theoretically report having no belief because one does not consciously accept the claim, yet still believe that claim on a subconscious level. And that's kind of the point that I'm getting at in this series. So until next time, even if your beliefs aren't necessarily true, remember they should be justified nonetheless.